How exactly did a seemingly ordinary accountant from Chicago scam his clients for millions of their hard-earned dollars? For Sultan Issa, defrauding his clientele was just part of the job. In fact, for nearly 8 years, Issa milked almost $80 million from his wealthiest customers, including a lifetime trustee at the Art Institute of Chicago and 3 former professional hockey players. You may be wondering, aren't accountants the ones we're supposed to trust with all our money? The answer, under normal circumstances, is yes. That's exactly how Issa was able to take advantage of his well-off patrons. All they wanted was a professional to manage their money. Instead, robbed them blind. Issa's biggest victim was Roger Weston, resident of Chicago area and a member of the Art Institute of Chicago's Board of Trustees. Weston was a man of considerable stature in the art community, having amassed an impressive collection of East Asian art during his lifetime. His contributions to Chicago's Art Institute landed him that trustee position, resulting in an entire gallery at the museum to be named after him. That section of the museum is enshrined as the R.L. Weston Wing and is home to the Institute's Japanese lacquerware exhibit. If you don't know, lacquerware is a decoration coated with the sap of Japanese and East Asian lacquer trees, also known as urushi trees. The sap has qualities similar to poison ivy and is harmful to the touch till it dries. The dried sap of the urushi tree is like natural plastic. It's incredibly durable. If only Issa's scheme was made of urushi sap, maybe it would have lasted longer. Weston's service to the community doesn't stop at his passion for art. After stepping down from his role as the former CEO of GreatBanc, an Illinois-based trust company, Weston set his heights on philanthropy. He established the Weston Foundation, whose self-described purpose is to promote the greatest good, with a particular emphasis on helping children, animal welfare, and the environment. Among the foundation's contributions is the Weston Career Center at Washington University School of Business, which aims to help business students with their post-graduation goals. Roger Weston was a staple of the Chicago area and, by all accounts, an extremely charitable individual. How was he repaid for his generosity? He was swindled out of millions of dollars. Weston employed Sultan Issa as the chief financial officer of a number of trusts and corporations that belonged to the Weston family, and the two worked together for many years. He was a trusted advisor to the Weston family, a friend, even a friend that stole millions of dollars and lied to their faces about it for nearly a decade. We've all had a friend like that, right? Issa's methodology was meticulous. It had to be to make sure his criminal actions would not be noticed. He took advantage of his high-ranking position within the Weston family empire to falsify documents, forge Roger Weston's signature, and take out fraudulent loans, all with the express purpose of putting millions into his own pocket. As far as everyone else was concerned, Issa was the trusty accountant in charge of Weston's massive fortune. He betrayed his trust, and for a while, no one had any clue. Issa's devious schemes were not unique to his work with Roger Weston. He scammed many of his other clients as well, for a total of 13 unsuspecting individuals who employed Issa's services as an accountant. One of those clients was a grieving widow who entrusted Issa to invest her late husband's fortune. Issa took $500,000 from her, kept it for himself. Issa took advantage of the emotionally and financially vulnerable situation she was in, keeping her in the dark about his scam for a long time. He was able to earn her trust and support, and she took his word that the money had been invested appropriately and was doing well. Issa also pounced on the opportunity to defraud 3 former NHL players who played for the Chicago Blackhawks: Tomas Kopecky, Marian Hossa, and Brian Bickle. They turned to Issa to help them transition into life after hockey. If you've been a subscriber with us for a while now, you know it can be challenging for athletes who don't have the financial know-how to take proper care of their massive earning. Little did they know, the man they had reached out to for help with their money was the man that was going to take it all away. It's not abundantly clear how Issa got in close with these ex-NHL players, but pictures from a charity drive involving these players and Issa did surface in 2014. They can be seen together at Issa's then Lamborghini dealership. Of course, this charity event was nothing but smoke and mirrors. It was just a means to hide his scheme. 2014 was the peak of Issa's scamming. Issa wasn't just stealing his clients' money and burying it like treasure. During his scamming heyday, he was a massive spender who used the cash he stole to fund an outrageous lifestyle. Although he had already built a thriving accounting business and was a wealthy individual by most standards, the legitimate money he earned just wasn't enough for him. He wanted more. He wanted to live like a true sultan. He took the millions of dollars he stole and bought himself more than 25 homes. Yes, you heard that right. 25 homes. The properties he purchased were located all across the U.S. He even had a vacation home in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. But no matter how much real estate Issa got his hands on, it simply was not enough. But wait, there's more. 2 private jets, 4 yachts, and plenty of high-end jewelry. In all, Issa siphoned more than $80 million from his client. Not only did he bask in an expensive lifestyle and buy real estate, he also invested a good portion of the stolen money into his own car dealership called Global Luxury Import. The dealership specialized in Lamborghinis among other luxury brands. His dealership was home to the bulletproof 1979 Rolls-Royce that protected Princess Diana and Prince Charles when they came to the States in the 80s. The Lambo dealership wasn't Issa's first business enterprise either. Prior to his days as a scammer, Issa had purchased several Cold Stone Creamery franchises near the Chicago area. Ultimately, that venture failed. Global Luxury Imports was another chance for him to prove that he was a capable entrepreneur. It didn't hurt to have millions of extra dollars stored away just in case. The telltale sign of a Ponzi scheme is when the schemer uses stolen money to pay off previous victims. Usually, that money is given to them based on the promise of smart investment. The schemer markets themselves as an investment wizard and convinces those who don't know any better to give them their money. The money then moves back up the victim chain while most of it goes towards personal expenses. While Issa's scheme didn't quite follow the Ponzi formula, he used a portion of the money stolen to pay back his clients and cover his tracks. Much of the money went towards the purchase of the luxury vehicles sold at Global Luxury Import. Issa's giant scam was eventually brought to light. Weston had been suspecting Issa of foul play and ultimately sued his now former accountant in 2018. While there was never a true smoking gun to crack the case open, Weston's lawsuit probably forced investigators to take a closer look at Issa's career practices. The onion layers began to peel back. The scope of Issa's scheme was inevitably revealed. Issa was arrested and ultimately taken to court for embezzling millions from his clients. In January of 2020, he pled guilty to stealing money from the Weston family trust and partnerships he was put in charge of, as well as 13 additional cases of embezzlement from individual clients. The plea agreement detailed the expansive scope of Issa's scamming, as well as his prolific spending habits. During the sentencing phase of his trial, Issa and his attorney attempted to show that he was a changed man. They claimed that it was an untreated mental illness that led him to engage in criminal behavior. They contested that the accountant had been suffering from severe anxiety and depression for years prior to his scheme. He had not received the proper professional help necessary to cope with his troubled psyche. Upon his arrest, Issa met with a therapist to help him sort through his mental struggles. He told the judge he was finally getting the help he had needed for years and was slowly, surely improving. He made a point to express the shame he felt for his past actions and hammered home the idea that his deteriorating mental state compelled him to steal all that money, not some sort of wickedness inside of him. This argument didn't exactly sway the judge, and Issa was sentenced in September of 2020 to 200 months in federal prison, which calculates out to just over 16 and a half years. Issa will have to make regular contributions to a restitution fund for the victims of his crimes. As icing on the cake, he's still being sued by Roger Weston for an additional $100 million in damages. His attorney argued that he would be unable to adequately pay back his former clients if he's stuck in prison with no way of generating any additional earning. Nonetheless, the disgraced accountant will have to atone for his sins one way or another. Even if the millions of dollars are eventually returned to their rightful owners, nothing can take back the tremendous pain and suffering he caused his former clients. The Westons had once put this man in charge of the trust fund that took care of the medical bills for Roger Weston's ill mother. Then he stole millions from them. Such betrayal leads to the emotional scars that a restitution fund just can't fix. It's no wonder Weston called Issa evil during his testimony in court. What was the reason for Issa's rampant scamming spree? It's obvious that he had made a good life for himself and his family as a well-respected accountant. He wasn't exactly desperate for the cash he ended up stealing. Was Issa correct in blaming his sudden shift to a life of crime on his psychological issue? We may never know. But Andrea Wood, the U.S. district judge that sentenced him, spoke to Issa's insatiable greed as the culprit behind his actions. Even though he had already done what millions of people worked tirelessly to accomplish, it was not enough. Nothing was ever enough. And in the end, Issa's frantic attempts to have it all left him with nothing but a prison sentence. Click here to watch one of these next videos.